Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I am so glad you could join us again for another deep dive. We love to get into the nitty-gritty here, and today we're looking at a really fascinating development in New York City. Absolutely. New York just rolled out the first ever congestion charge in the United States. Yeah, it's huge. I mean, we're talking about a massive undertaking here. Yeah. And it is aimed at tackling some of the worst traffic the planet has ever seen. Oh, yeah. But also to raise a ton of money to revitalize their public transit system. Right. So there are obvious benefits for it. But, of course, not everyone is happy about it. No, not at all. We're talking major pushback from people like, oh, yeah, taxi drivers, politicians. Even former President Donald Trump has weighed in on this thing. It's gotten pretty heated. Yeah, it's gotten really heated. So this is definitely a juicy one, folks. You're not going to want to miss this. So let's just jump right in. Let's do it. And start by explaining what this congestion charge actually is. Okay, so basically, if you drive into Manhattan, below 60th Street, so like the heart of Manhattan, like you're going to Times Square or Wall Street or anything like that, you are going to be subject to this congestion charge. Yep. And it's not cheap. No, it's not. I mean, we're talking upwards of $9 for a car. Yeah, and even more for trucks and buses. And of course, it depends on the time of day. Right, exactly. Peak hours are going to be the most expensive. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, why don't you paint us a picture of just how bad New York City's traffic problem really is? Oh, it's legendary. I mean, anyone who's ever driven, oh my goodness, in Manhattan knows that it's like, you're moving at a snail's pace. Yeah, it's awful. But it's not just like a feeling, like, I hate driving here. I mean, there's actually data, right, to back this up. There's a company called INRIX. Okay. And they're like a global leader in mobility analytics. So they basically use a ton of data to analyze traffic patterns all over the world. Interesting. And guess what? They've ranked New York City as the most congested city in the entire world, I believe, for 2 years running. Wow. So we're talking about an average speed, during rush hour of 11 miles per hour. That's awful. It's terrible. It's a huge waste of time. There's got to be a productivity killer. Right. I mean, think about all the time that people are spending. Yeah, just sitting in their cars. They could be they could be with their families. They could be doing anything else. Look, so it sounds like you're trying to solve a real problem here. What are the main goals of this congestion charge? So the first and most obvious goal is to reduce traffic. Okay, like we were just talking about, it's to make it more bearable. Yeah, they want to get cars off the streets. They want to encourage people to use public transportation, to bike, to walk. Yeah, anything other than driving. Makes sense. The second goal is to raise money. Okay, I mean a lot of money. How much are we talking? Billions of dollars. Wow. And all that money is going to go towards improving the city's public transit system, okay, which desperately needs it, which, as you know, is really struggling. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about who is not happy about this plan. Right. Because I know there's been a lot of pushback. Oh, yeah, a lot. You mentioned taxi drivers. Right. So taxi drivers are particularly upset. Yeah. And for good reason. I mean, they're already facing a ton of competition from ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft. Yeah. And they're worried that this new charge is just going to make things even worse for them, push them out of business. Yeah, they're saying that it's going to add to their costs. It's going to reduce their profits. Yeah, it's going to make it even harder for them to compete. It's interesting because the ride-sharing apps are also subject to the charge. Right, exactly. But they have a lot more flexibility in terms of how they can adjust their prices and things like that. So that's going to be fascinating to watch how that dynamic plays out. It really is. Okay, so we've got the taxi drivers. Now, what about these politicians that are getting involved? Well, the biggest name, of course, is Donald Trump. Of course. He's been very vocal in his opposition to the congestion charge. He's called it a disaster. A disaster. He said that it's going to hurt businesses, it's going to hurt tourism, and he's even demanded that the program be shut down entirely. Wow. Now, he's not the only one. Oh, I'm sure. There are a lot of other politicians, who are also opposed to the charge. Okay. One example is Congressman Mike Lawler, whose district is just north of the city. Yeah. And includes a lot of people who commute into Manhattan. Right. He's called the charge a blatant cash grab. Interesting. He's saying that the city is just using this as a way to make money. Yeah. And that they don't really care about reducing traffic or improving public transit. So a lot of different opinions. Yeah, a lot of strong opinions. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's actually one more player that we need to talk about here. Okay, who's that? And that is the state of New Jersey. Oh, right. They actually tried to block the congestion charge in court. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah, so their argument was that the congestion charge is going to cause environmental harm to their state. Okay, because it's going to push more traffic their way. Makes sense. Right. Okay. But a judge recently denied the request. Okay, so it's moving forward. So the congestion charge is moving forward. So this is like a real experiment. It really is. I mean, this is something that we could see in other cities. I think it's definitely a possibility. Okay. I mean, other major cities are facing the same problems that New York is facing. Yeah. Traffic congestion and a lack of funding for public transit. Exactly. So if this works in New York, yeah, I think we could definitely see other cities following suit. It's really fascinating. It's a real turning point, I think, in how we think about urban planning and transportation. Absolutely. It's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. Well, we are definitely going to be following this story very closely. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any updates. Yes, definitely do that. We'd love to hear what you guys think about all of this. Do you think that congestion charges are a good idea? Yeah. Let us know down in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us.